come on in. We're so glad you're here.
Blue's Clues was, and still is, an iconic show that was crucial to a lot of kids' childhoods across the world. But how many hosts did it really have? Today we will be discussing the history of Blue's Clues and exploring all the hosts of the show from its inception to now in 2024.
Just about snack time, and we're having graham crackers.
The show started in 1996, co-created by Todd Kessler, Angela Santamaria, who also made shows like Superwire and Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, and Tracy Page Johnson, who made Gabby's House. The show was a mix between live action and animation, with its goal to be an interactive educational show for preschoolers. Many say Blue's Clues reminds them of a modern-day Mr. Rogers. Another famous children's show had a similar vibe. The show starred Blue the dog, who started every episode with a game of Blue's Clues, where Blue put her paw print on something that is meant to be a clue for that episode, and the host had to find where the paw print was, with the audience following along to help. Other than Blue, the show had other iconic anime characters, such as the Spice Family, the main members being Mr. Salt and Miss Pepper. We have kids, Paprika and Cinnamon. There are also more members outside of the core family, such as Grandma, Cayenne, Aunt Nutmeg, and Grandfather Time. Then there is the mailbox.
Mail's here, that's me, Mal.
Thank you, mailbox.
Who lives in front of the house and has his own song for when they receive mail.
Mail's here.
There's side table, with the living side table keeps the precious notebook that we see in every episode. There's also Tickety, Slippery, Shovel, Periwinkle, and so many more. But the second most important character in Blue's Clues, other than Blue herself, is the host.
Get some more information to figure this out.
Oh, right. More clues.
The first host of the show was Steve, played by Steve Burns. His first aired appearance is in episode 1, Snack Time, that aired in September 1996. His job is to take care and entertain Blue. He's always seen wearing an iconic green striped shirt. At the start of every episode, Steve would go around looking for Blue's Clues, as I mentioned before. He would also teach the audience something that would help them later in life. In several episodes, he would go to meet the librarian Marley and taught the audience sign language.
I'm just practicing my American Sign Language, and Marley is going to show me the signs for our favorite colors.
He also taught the children about different holidays in Blue's Big Holiday, where he learned about Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. The kids and Steve also learned about the different planets in our solar system.
Earth's home to me and you.
Mars is the red one.
Steve would teach the audience at home valuable lessons every episode, whilst doing his duty of caring for Blue. What an icon. Upon airing, Blue's Clues immediately became one of the most popular shows for kids and is crucial to Nickelodeon's overall growth in the early 2000s. It was broadcast to over 120 countries and translated into 15 languages. As shown before, Steve is definitely not the only human in the show. All the animals that appear in the show have carers. Purple Kangaroo has Tyrese, Green Puppy has Wyona, and Orange Kitten has Samantha. So what happens when one of the carers has to go away? Well, we found out in the infamous episode Steve Goes to College, where the character Steve goes to college. You never would have guessed that from the title. There is a touching goodbye between Blue and Steve, which is sad enough to make an adult cry, and Steve goes off to college.
I'll never forget how you helped me find all those clues. You really are so smart.
On a hopscotch scholarship after 4 seasons of the show. His final episode aired in 2002. The real reason Steve left was Steve Burns said he was under a lot of stress and felt he needed to step away from the show. Just because Steve left doesn't mean the show ended. So who's taking care of Blue if Steve's gone? That is why the character Joe pops up. The second host of the show was Joe, played by Donovan Patton.
Will you take good care of my brother Joe while I'm at college? Because sometimes he needs a little help.
To make the transition easier for kids, they had both Joe and Steve appear in several episodes before Steve went off to college. Joe is introduced as the young brother of Steve in the episode Joe's First Day. We see Steve teach Joe how to play Blue's Clues, and he is just as bad as his brother at finding the clues. It takes them a while. Kids enjoyed chasing Joe in the Great Joe Clue Chase, where he hid from Blue and the audience with a clue, and they had to run around and find him. Unlike his brother, we see Joe wearing a far larger variety of shirts, where they always had squares on it, because Joe loved squares. Steve did make an appearance in the 100th episode celebration. I want to talk more about how big of a success Blue's Clues was. Blue's Clues has earned many awards, such as the TCA Awards for Outstanding Achievement in Youth Programming in both the year 1998 and 1999, as well as winning a Peabody Award. It also sold millions of VHS and DVD of Blue's Clues episodes. They also made Blue's Clues books, such as The Baby Book, which was a colouring book of the episode The Baby's Here, which was about the birth of the character Cinnamon, and a book version of Magenta Gets Glasses, which was an episode episode about Magenta, Blue's friend, who was nervous about getting glasses. Blue's Clues also had live shows, the first being Blue's Clues Live, which started in 1999 and ran to 2005. They had the animated characters as puppets, and the roles of Steve and Joe were not portrayed by the actual actor from the show, as it was touring nationally and they had to be in the show. But kids can't tell the difference. They also dabbled in direct-to-video making, with the first being Blue's Big Musical in 2000. This musical was about Blue finding a singing partner for a musical that Periwinkle is putting on. It features Steve, Blue, Mr. Salt, Mrs. Pepper, Paprika, and a bunch of other recurring Blue's Clues characters.
Big music show is today, and I overslept. We have to build a stage. We have to make snacks.
And here we have the king of procrastinating, because what do you mean you're building the stage the day of the performance? The film also had a video game based on it. After the success of Blue's Clues, they started a spin-off series in 2004 called Blue's Room, which starred only Blue this time, who can now talk in this show for some reason. It's about Blue playing with her friends. She gets a new little brother, and they all go on adventures. This show was not as successful as the initial show, and it only lasted 2 seasons, but some people do remember the show fondly. Blue's Clues ultimately concluded in 2006 after 10 years, with 6 seasons and 143 episodes, with its spin-off show ending a year later, meaning the end of an era, leaving a legacy behind that many cherished. That was until 2019, when Blue's Clues and You first aired. This was a revival show of the once great Blue's Clues. With a new show came a new host, introducing Josh, played by Josh De La Cruz. In the Blue's Clues lore, he is the cousin of Joe and Steve, and that's why he has been put in charge of taking care of Blue. Don't know how this dog has lived for almost 30 years, but he also talks, so we're not questioning it. Josh is also the main character in the new film Blue's Big City Adventure, which is a sequel to Blue's Big Musical. The plot of the movie was Blue and Josh going to New York to audition for a musical, but Josh gets some horribly lost and Blue has to find her way to the musical audition. In this movie, Joe and Steve make an appearance, and everyone was freaking out on the internet about this. I saw grown people, borderline tears. I'm happy they were happy. Josh is always wearing his blue striped shirt. This show also introduced 2 new members to the Spice family, the twins Sage and Ginger, who were born in the episode Big News with Blue. Another new character is Email, who appears in this episode instead of Mailbot. RIP Mailbot, you'll be missed. There are a bunch of characters from the original show that also appear in the new show. There's Magenta and her carer Miranda, who are next door neighbours of Blue and his carer. There's also felt friends who are just hanging on a wall. They do not live very thrilling lives. Next we have Turquoise, the turtle that Steve bought Blue for her birthday. Not going to question him buying a pet for his dog. When the show was brought back as Blue's Clues and You, they also restarted the live shows as Blue's Clue and You live on stage. Very creative with the names. The show starred, obviously, the new host Josh, along with costume characters, the dog, and puppets of the other anime characters. As of the making of the video, Blue's Clues and You is still going on and currently has 5 seasons with 90 episodes. For a lot of people, that is a complete history of Blue's Clues if they are from North America. And in most places in the world, if they had Blue's Clues, it was a dubbed over version of the North American version. But across the pond, in the land of me, we had our own host. Meet Kevin, played by Kevin Duala. This is the guy I grew up watching.
You know what we need? Our super duper
So whenever people would talk about Blue's Clues from their childhood online, and they would talk about Steve or Joe, I was really confused. I thought I remembered the show horribly, because who are these men? I have never seen them before in my life. And last year, when there was this Blue's Clues reunion and everyone was freaking out, I was so confused. Who are these men? And then I found out it's because we had Kevin. Kevin was in every episode of Blue's Clues in the UK, from Blue Wants to Play a Game to Patience, meaning he was in all the episodes Joe appeared in. He started in Steve's first episode and ended in Joe's last episode. In the UK Blue's Clues, there were far more subtle differences, such as the mailbox was called the postbox.
Hello, postbox. Here's your letter.
And pail was called bucket and the shovel was called spade. Kevin was a core memory for a lot of British children. He taught them the importance of celebrating new friends, and when we saw him try so hard to get a gift for Blue's birthday, we all cried. Maybe, I don't know what other people did. He also taught kids about the galaxy. He wore the green striped shirt for all of Steve's episodes, and when Joe took over in the North American version, he wore a green, orange and yellow version of his top. The UK version of Blue's Clues started 2 years later than the North American one in 1998 and finished airing in 2003. Kevin is currently a presenter on BBC Radio in the UK. The international version of this show was not nearly as well documented as the original one, but the UK one was the one I could find the most about outside of the North American one. In the Portuguese version, they had Durant Gomez. He appeared in all the episodes Steve starred in, but only some of the Joe episodes. The final host I have to speak about today is Hyun Sup Sim, who was the host in the South Korean version of Blue's Clues. His shows are the one I found the least about, mainly because I only found snippets of the episodes rather than full episodes. This version of the show only had 10 episodes, but this version existed, so if anyone speaks Korean would like to provide some clarity, the only time almost all the hosts appeared in the same show is in the documentary Behind the Clues 10 Years with Blue, where we see Steve, Kevin, Joe, and Hyun all the same time, but we don't see Durant for some reason. They just forgot about him, even though his version was more popular than the Korean version, but oh well. Regardless of the host, they are all connected. Since the revival in 2019, Josh is leading the show. Steve and Joe have made appearances several times, like for the 25th anniversary of the show, where we had all three of them singing a song dedicated to the audience. We saw new fans of the show and old ones celebrating the community that Blue's Clues has fostered. They also mention some historical episodes like Steve going to space or Joe visiting a farm with Blue. We see them celebrating holidays and superheroes. It was a great time. In both the original and the revival, there has been an episode dedicated to Magenta getting glasses to help kids who may be getting their first pair of glasses feel accepted by their favourite character. I do kind of wish the new series of Blue's Clues and You, there was international hosts like there was with the original. Maybe one day. That will be all for this video. Tell me about your favourite Blue's Clues memories. Did you know there was other hosts? I didn't. Good. Bye.